Okay, so for this week of my art of L Talks art, I decided to do for my very first episode, nonetheless. I chose to do an Australian artist named George Washington Lambert, and we're going to be talking about his painting, "The White Glove." So, before I start, forgive me. It might be a little awkward. It's my first time doing it. Be gentle. It'll get better. It's fine. Okay. Anyways, let's talk about George Washington Lambert. Have you ever heard of him? Probably not, because who the fuck has heard of an artist from Australia, which is where he's from, coincidentally. Anyways, he is an Australian artist. His family is actually American, but then they moved to Austria, and then he went to Australia. But he's primarily known as an Australian artist, and he's known in Australia. Primarily, he was a portraitist. Portraitist? I hate that is like the most awkward word in academia and art history. Yeah, it is. So he's known for his portraits, but he does some war paintings, he does some landscapes. But I really like his portraits. And I don't generally like portraits because I think they're boring, especially socialite paintings, because, they're just boring. They're just like pretty women sitting in a chair. Don't really give a fuck. But I really like his because the way he paints his people, it's so engaging, and I feel like there's like some story that I'm missing behind all of his portraits, and I just really enjoy it. And part of the reason I love him so much is because he does kind of paint like John Singer Sargent. And I just have a big giant boner. John Singer Sargent just like does something to me like on the inside. Just in this area, he just like touches my soul, and I just love him so much. And so I think that's part of the reason why I like George Washington Lambert's work so much. But so the painting that we're going to be focusing on today is The White Glove. White Glove. Now, I don't have a lot of background information about this painting. I don't really know who the woman is. I just know it was painted in the early 20th century, and it's a woman. So let's talk about, before we even start talking about any sort of content, let's just talk about the painting itself and why I like it. So first of all, we have this woman who is very, I don't know if I would say she's lovely, but it's very realistically painted. It's a very real portrait of this woman. Like, you can tell there is very little idealization going on, especially in the face area. And I like that about this painting. It gives it a very true feeling to this painting, to like the overall feeling. And I like the composition of it is very stable. It's very triangular, which is this very classic sort of theme in art history. Her head is at the top, her body's at the bottom, and it gives it this very stable feeling. But I like how her neck is turning back, which gives it a little bit of an angle and gives the whole painting a little bit of movement and sort of dynamism, or makes it feel a little bit more dynamic. And the other thing that I really like about this painting is that she's obviously wealthy, right? And the way we can tell she's wealthy is because she has this really fabulous hat, which we're going to talk about in a second, and she has all this fur, and she has all this silk, and she has this fantastic jewelry, and she's sitting like this, which, yes, I wore this today so that I could point this out. But so she's obviously very wealthy, and the fabric, and there's just something, there's something beautiful about well-painted fabric. I won't lie. There's something about it. I will always love some well-painted fabric. But I love, oh my god, the textures involved in this they give me a little bit of a boner, especially the fur on her stole and this sort of I guess it would be kind of a cape thing. And maybe that's why I like it, because I just secretly wish that I could wear a cape in modern life. But we can't, because we just can't. It's not, I don't want to be that weird kid who walks into class wearing a fur cape. I'm I'm not that cool. So the other thing I really like about this is she has this big giant hat, right? And we're purely talking about what I physically like about this. We're not going to talk about the content yet. So she's got this big giant hat. It has all these like furry, like little feathers sticking out of it. And I like it because it reminds me of the Northern Baroque. Which, if you know anything about art history, you know that one of the sort of common themes in Northern Baroque was these genre scenes where it's just sort of everyday life. But they're very focused on sort of creating texture, and hats were always one of the really prominent things that got painted, and especially hats with feathers. And so I feel like this is some kind of reference to that Northern Baroque. And I love Northern Baroque art too. So, like, two things you know about me. I love John Singer Sargent, and I love Northern Baroque. What else do you need to know about me as an art historian? So let's talk about just beyond the painting, right? Let's analyze this for 1 second, because that's my favorite thing to do. So this painting I enjoy analytically because I feel the story behind it. So bear with me, okay? I feel like this woman has just sat down, right? She blows into Lambert's studio and she sits down and she's, she has gossip to avail. Oh, she's got fucking gossip. So she sits down and she starts playing and she's like, takes off her glove to show off her new ring. Because if you notice her hand, it is the white glove, which I think the title might be kind of important. Pay attention to the fact that her glove is off, and that is what she is showing off. Is that she's got this massive fucking stone, and it's like, I love it, and she's kind of pointing towards it, and it's like, I can almost see her hand moving, and being like, oh, look who got him. She wants to show off the fact that she has just snagged the husband of the century, and I love it. I feel like there's just gossip to be had, and I love that we as viewers feel involved in this non-existent storyline. And I think this is the thing that I like about Lambert. He does this with a lot of his works. I feel this sort of hidden narrative in a lot of his works. And, there's some other things you could probably talk about, but I think I'll save those for just like another day. That's not today.